Hi guys, and welcome to the Lifestyle Design Secrets podcast, where we talk about fitness, nutrition, mindset, and a whole lot more. Thank you for everyone who's listened to all our episodes so far and taken the time to leave a review. If you do enjoy this episode and want the free content to keep on coming, please do take 2 seconds to leave us a 5-star review. Thanks again. Now let's dive in. Hello guys, and welcome back to series 2 of the podcast. So this has been a long time coming, and I wanted to start it last year, and life gets in the way. So I do feel your pain if you've had ambitions to work on your fitness and your nutrition and it just hasn't happened. So as well as work, little baby Charlie's also been the new challenge for 2024 and 25. I do plan on doing some really fun story episodes with some friends where I will run you through my pregnancy and also early childhood learnings and lessons with Charlie. But for today, I want to start the year really positively, and I'm going to run you through my body reset transformation program. So like exactly what's inside it and give you more insights than ever before. And this is all ahead of, if you're watching this shortly after its release, we are doing a summer body reset that starts in just a week or so. So if you've done my program before, awesome. There are brand new meal plans that you can follow that are, I reckon, even better than the OG version, and I'll explain why. And if you've never done the program before, you can get your hands on the full program plus the new meal plans online at the moment. So anyway, let's dive into it. The original name of this podcast is the Lifestyle Design Secrets, and that name came about because people, women regularly came up to me and they were like, how do you do it? Like, how do you seem to eat lots of food, stay motivated, always have all this energy, work hard, but not get exhausted? And I think that is what inspired me to start my business. So people were asking me so much that it became a bit awkward doing free consultations and things. So I started with tailored nutrition. And after over 100 people going through tailored nutrition programs, I realized that everyone was making exactly the same mistakes. So this is where we're going to begin. So we'll start off with mindset. So a lot of people can get lost with your mindset, lose your way. And I really get it. So some of the biggest challenges that I've had to deal with this year have been sleep deprivation, stress, so that perceived busyness that the rest of the world has, that you've got so much to do all the time and you just feel like you can't keep up. And I think it's really important to try and come back to ourselves and have a word with ourselves and remember what it is we want. So the world will always demand a lot of us all the time. The world will always make us think that we need to buy something new to look better, to feel better. We need to try a new diet. We need to try a new 7-minute abs challenge. We need a new smoothie or maybe a new salad cookbook. And the truth is, I think it's so important to come back to basics and realize what you want. So my mindset challenges this year have obviously been postpartum. Very successfully lost weight, I quote easily, but absolutely loved the journey, fueling lots and lots while I was breastfeeding, or not breastfeeding, but actually pumping for 8 weeks, which was quite the journey until my friends convinced me it was probably best that I stop. More on that later. I was actually really enjoying fueling my body the way that I have been for decades, but just with a higher volume, obviously, to cope with the calorie needs of the breastfeeding journey. And I was actually surprised myself how quickly I lost weight, and it really convinced me even more so that this way of eating was so powerful. My body's obviously changed, and the whole mindset shift that I was really, really strict on myself with was not wanting to get my body back, in quotes. It was always about, okay, what next? What does the next version of my body look like? And I think that's relevant for anyone who's just had a baby, who's had an injury, who's hit perimenopause or menopause. I think stop trying to get your body back, because the past is history, the future is a mystery. All we have is a present. Focusing on the present day is so powerful, and thinking, what do you want next? What do you want the future to look like? Stop looking to the past. The past can be really helpful. It can be really helpful to assess what's happened so far, what's worked for you, what hasn't. Take it with a pinch of salt, take it on board. But remember, that's no longer your truth. You're now in a different place, and the world is your oyster in terms of moving forwards. So, one really powerful concept that I've been working with a few ladies on recently is working out your push and your pull. So, for me, my push, what I want to run away from is feeling overweight. I used to have high cholesterol. I used to be at about size 14 to at one stage I was wearing a size 18 top. I didn't feel comfortable like that. My body didn't feel good. I had raised liver enzymes, probably something to do with all the sugar and alcohol I was drinking at university. My body fat percentage was 28, which is quite squishy, and 30% is pushing on obese. So I really want to stay away from that. So that's my push. That's where I don't want to be. My pull, so where I want to be, is I want to feel really freaking good on the beach. Not afraid to say it. I want to look good. I want to feel good. In 10 years' time, I still want to be running around playing with Charlie, not worried about my knees and my hips. In 20 years' time, 30 years' time, I want to be able to run around with Charlie and his kids and my stepkids' kids. So that's the pull. I want to be an awesome grandma, and I want to still be living life, having fun, well into my 80s. So that's my mindset tips for you. So it's always about, our program includes getting deeper. So, what do you want? Okay, you want to feel less anxiety around your body. You want to not freak out about your husband seeing you naked. You want to not worry about dating if you're single. It's all really important stuff. But I think when you get down to the real why, is you want to feel confident, so it actually improves your relationship and you're not so stressed all the time. You want to feel confident at the beach, so that actually summer holidays are a breeze rather than having these niggly feelings that you just don't feel comfortable. And last but not least, like, having better energy helps you turn up as so much of a better mother and grandma. So I always joke about exercising and eating for my old lady body. I reckon that's key. So next that I talk about as our second lifestyle design secret is your habits. So this is really interesting. It's really powerful. And thank you, James Clear, for writing the book Atomic Habits. That is a huge recommendation from me on your reading list. So I think it's very simple to get overwhelmed with everything that we have to do to get healthy and to get fit. And if you're scrolling Instagram, the world will tell you that you need this and you need that, and you should do Pilates, and you should be doing zone 2, and you should slow down as you hit the menopause. Someone else will tell you need to intensify as you hit the menopause. There is a lot out there. So I think one of the most powerful things that you can do is have a think about and track your daily habits, because it's so simple. So just starting by tracking the really, really tiny things you do every day, note down which ones are moving you further towards where you want to be and which ones are moving you away from where you want to be. And this can be quite tricky because it's sometimes things you don't want to admit. So a few of my bad habits. Let's get into that first. Prior to Charlie, I was vaping a lot, which a lot of people are surprised about. But as a casual smoker throughout my, I would say, teens and 20s, smoking like once a month out at parties and stuff, I hit lockdown with Scott, who was a smoker. He's now quit, which is a win. And I found it really hard. And I thought, oh God, I'm not smoking cigarettes. They're disgusting. So I picked up a vape, which I don't recommend anyone does because they are highly addictive. They don't smell. And so the downsides seem pretty pretty low, I suppose. I do think they really increase your anxiety if you're puffing on them too much, which is something to note. So nicotine can be really beneficial from a concentration standpoint, but tends to increase anxiety overall if you're prone to it. So there you go. So yeah, I managed to quit vaping, obviously realizing I was pregnant. That was a big thing. And I also made sure I stopped around a change in environment. So I went on holiday with a friend who I knew wouldn't find it socially acceptable. So a week before that, I threw them out. And that week was a little bit tough. And then I went on holiday and then I came back and it just wasn't something I did. So I think toggling trying to quit a habit around a change in environment or changing the rest of your lifestyle is really powerful. So if you have, for example, a friend who recently completed my program was addicted to coffee sachets. She did our spring reset. She lost 5 kilos. She's an absolutely incredible woman. And the biggest difference I noticed in her is her skin. And I feel like she actually looks like 10 years younger. She's done incredibly well. But she knew that the coffee sachets didn't serve her. But while she was not eating well, while she felt like she needed that energy hit, it was a really hard thing to quit. Whereas when she changed what she was eating and she completely transformed her lifestyle, like she started going for more walks and eating the right food and things like that. So, as part of the bigger shift, it was easy to cull that habit that she knew wasn't serving her. So, one of my other bad habits, let me think, probably drinking too much wine, to be honest. But that's something I probably, when I got pregnant, realized it wasn't actually as much of a part of my life as I thought it was. And actually, I do so much throughout the week. I have so many habits that I enjoy that are nothing to do with wine, and I'd never realized that before. Like, I'd never really taken the time to assess it. And then obviously you can't really drink much wine when you're pregnant. So I was actually realized that was a habit I wasn't too concerned about. So should we move on to the good habits? Um, I love my black coffee in the morning, although I drink water before my coffee. I don't advise anyone gets up and drinks coffee straight away. Try and drink some water first, do a few tasks and things, let your body adjust to being awake before you hit it with caffeine. But yes, morning coffee, always a love. Moving before I eat. So there's a bit of a debate going on around this in the health and fitness world at the moment. Should you fast at certain ages? Should you fast depending on your hormones? For about a decade now, on and off, I have been doing a quote fasted exercise. So whether at like it might be a home workout or a big walk up a hill, or a walk with my weight vest, or even a run or a bike ride, I always do something like that before I eat food. For me, it feels better. Like I'm fasted at the moment, and my brain is on fire. I imagine it's full of ketones, which is the product of you burning your own body fat. It makes you feel incredibly sharp. So I love a bit of fasted exercise. Then the first thing I do to start my day is eat some protein. So as per our program, the first thing I eat, whether it's at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, a.m., it will generally be something to do with like eggs and bacon or even just steak, which I will get onto in a little bit. So just meat generally of some sort, or some fish or some eggs, not your traditional breakfast food. And actually quite a big portion of it, a big portion of that is really important to fuel you for the rest of the day. But so it's stacking habits like that that you love and that you know are serving you well. So black coffee, water before the coffee, black coffee, move before you eat, and a good breakfast. The rest of the day will cascade, and I won't bore you with the rest of my day, but that's how I start it off well. It generally makes me feel good, it regulates my appetite. And yeah, so just I think writing down all those little habits that you do on a daily basis is really important to help you assess where you are right now and getting you to where you want to be. So my program is broken down by week, by day, by time of day, because things like exercise, people go, I don't have time. I beg to differ. Everyone has time to exercise. 1 hour is only 5% of your day. So what the program does is give you movement opportunities throughout the day. It doesn't say you have to do this, you have to do that. Morning movement, get that in. Can you get outside at lunchtime? Lots of people say no. If you're in a job that doesn't let you outside at lunchtime, quit, please. And then before or after dinner in the evening. I know that's tricky with children, but it's still doable. So just thinking about those times throughout the day. So that's how I help you with your habits. On to environment. So designing your environment and understanding your environment in a way that works. So I call it environment design, and I think that's really powerful to help support your habits and also your mindset. Starting simply, it's that old analogy of if you don't have it in the house, you won't eat it. So yes, if you've got a biscuit tin that you know you dive into, get rid of it. Like, just don't, yeah, I know it's hard. Like, I have two-step teenage boys, 13 and 15. We have cereal bars, we have crackers, we have rice cakes, we have noodles, we have chocolate biscuits, we have cookies, and they're running around all day. So it doesn't really affect their glucose levels too badly. But if I started eating that, I would probably feel like rubbish. Try not to swear in this series, but we'll see how we go. So the next area that the program runs you through is understanding your quote standard American or standard Western diets. They call it the SAD diet, SAD, standard American diet, which we here in New Zealand have a lot of too. We think in New Zealand, oh, our food's so much better, our snacks are so much better. No, they're absolutely not. The States is in a bad way. The UK is pretty bad, but New Zealand, we are terrible. So this is how most people eat. So after over 100 tailored nutrition plans where I ask people what they eat in a day and why they feel they can't lose weight, everyone goes, I eat pretty well. I eat pretty well. And it's not your fault. It is the food environment that we live in. So when you go to the supermarket, they've done a study in the UK. Chris Van Tulleken is a great guy to look up. Over 70% of our supermarket is ultra processed food. So ultra processed. So I'm talking things like breakfast cereal, bread, all bread, not just white bread. Brown bread is processed too. Usually has about 11 or 12 ingredients that have gone through quite the process to get from like a grain of grass, grain of wheat, into a plastic bag on the supermarket shelf. So it's a very long way away from what it began as. So most people start their day some form of muesli, flavored yogurt, even if it says Greek yogurt, Greek style, vanilla flavor, it's full of sugar. Please turn the packet round. So understanding your environment in that regard is really important. What else? Some toast with eggs, maybe even a healthy smoothie, or maybe some avocado on toast, which I'm really sorry to break it to you, is just a very, very trendy way of eating a weight gain diet of fat on top of carbohydrates. Avocado toast, not a recipe for losing weight and getting lean, I'm afraid. So then most people follow it mid-morning. But sometimes I'll have fruit, biscuits, chocolate, or a scone with my coffee. At that point, you're doubling your carbohydrate intake. So if you've had standard muesli or you probably had about 8 teaspoons of sugar worth of carbohydrates just to start your day, straight into the bloodstream. Yeah. And then mid-morning, most people repeat that and double it. So even stuff like rice cakes and hummus, something I used to eat all the time, all carbohydrates. Chickpeas, hummus is not a good source of protein. I'm sorry to break it to you. That's actually one of the most highly read articles on my website. Carrots and hummus are not a good source of protein. People, yeah, trendy, not a good source of protein, and in my opinion, not particularly healthy because they're quite easy to overeat because they're low in protein. So let's move on to lunch. Most people have a sandwich, ciabatta, leftovers with rice or pasta, a salad, some fruit, maybe a pie, a sushi, or just a wrap. Just a wrap. Most wraps, unless you buy the keto ones, are just as bad as bread. So they contain about 27 grams of carbohydrates, 27 to 30-ish, 32 grams of carbohydrates divided by 4 to work out the teaspoons of sugar. It's probably about 8 teaspoons of sugar just in the wrap. So nothing to do with the sauces or whatever else you put in there. When I say teaspoons of sugar, it's obviously not grainy sugar. It is the glucose that when it hits your bloodstream, your body doesn't really differentiate. So it all has to be processed by your liver. And if you haven't been moving lots, if your muscles aren't gagging, for some glucose to refuel them. It has to be processed by your liver, and it actually tends to get stored as either triglycerides that enter your bloodstream, which is why you get high cholesterol, um, or it's stored as body fat for later. We can't store carbohydrates. They have to be converted to fat in order for us to store them and use them later. So mid-afternoon, the good old 3 p.m. slump, if you've had a big sandwich for lunch, which I did for years, all the blood rushes from your brain to your stomach, and you're sat at your desk, like feeling like you're losing the plot. You might feel like you need a coffee mid-afternoon or chocolate or something to pick you up. That's all the blood rushing from your brain down to your stomach to digest your heavy carbohydrate rich meal. Yeah, bad. And that's when also, the office biscuit tin, the healthy bag of nuts that you've got in the desk drawer, maybe some quote healthy bliss balls, usually just sugar as well, guys. Or you're doing school pickup or the supermarket shop and you just have to grab a treat that's chocolate. It's all because of what you've fed yourself earlier in the day. And our environment is designed for when you're feeling stressed and exhausted, there is chocolate there. They put it right by the checkouts, they put it on the end of the aisles. So this is where it comes to understanding your environment design. I was part of the problem for many years. So my first ever job was as a marketer for a natural energy drink company, full of white grape juice, very high in sugar, but there was no quote table sugar in there, no refined sugar. So we could say no sugar. It had green tea, it had guarana, very ahead of its time. But I worked with a lot of supermarkets during that time. So there is an energy drink buyer, there is a convenience food buyer. There are all these buyers that want to buy the most profitable thing that they're going to make the most margin on. Supermarkets generally make like 40 to 50% margin on most products. They're also more inclined to put products owned by companies like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, those big brand names, or Whittaker's, for example, that can pay to be at the end of an aisle. You think you love Whittaker's because you're so familiar with it and it's a Kiwi staple. No, it's because they've been paying to be in front of you for decades. So bear that in mind next time you go, I just love this chocolate bar. Do you? Because they've spent a lot of money being there. It's probably just that you enjoy paying their marketing budget, I'm afraid. Sorry to break it to you. Right, so on to dinner. The staples. Nachos, spaghetti bolognese, my food bag curry, always with rice. Meat and veggies, always with potatoes. Yeah, so the biggest problem at dinner time is usually portion control. And the fact that you need all these, I need tacos, I need spaghetti bolognese, I need this, I need that. All these kinds of meals that we've been told that we need by society that are our staples in a standard Western diet. Even when people say meat and three veg, they don't mean meat and three veg. They mean a big stack of potatoes, a small piece of meat, maybe some other root veggies like carrots and parsnip. It's never the sort of meat and three veg that I think we probably should be eating. So a lot of you struggle with dinner, especially if you've tried to undereat during the day. So if you've tried to only eat muesli, or you've tried to only eat a wrap for lunch, you've tried to only eat rice cakes, your body is going to be gagging for food. It's going to be gagging for protein. The protein leverage hypothesis is sort of a theory that means we will overeat. We will overeat everything. So we'll overeat fat, we'll overeat carbohydrates until we get our protein needs met. So that's our essential amino acids, in a word. It's a big problem. And that's why a lot of you will overeat at dinner, especially if you've had a stressful day, you're tired, you're exhausted, you feel like you need a hell of a lot of energy. So you overeat. Then, of course, there's after dinner. So if you've eaten the standard Western diet all day, if you're really stressed and you're tired and you haven't done much mindset work, you generally want to emotionally eat after dinner. So you've been sort of relatively sensible all day, or you think you have, or you've tried. You want something sweet after dinner. It's relatively normal and I see it a lot. It's just a shame because I think this is where a lot of people get really tired and they just want to eat away the tiredness, eat away the loneliness. Lots of us these days don't even connect with our partner or our family. We're all sitting in different rooms on our devices. Perhaps you just need a kiss and a cuddle rather than a tub of ice cream. But not many people are prepared to do the work that it takes to realize all this. They would rather just eat the ice cream. So our program helps you realize these sorts of things, understand your emotional eating habits and why they might be happening, and then slowly undoing them by eating better throughout the day. Other things to do with environment design, having things in your kitchen. Again, like if you've got ice cream there, you've got ice cream there. If you know ice cream's an issue for you, try not to have it there. Alcohol, as I always share, I drink quite a lot, probably more than most doctors would advise, but I'm quite mindful about the quantity during the week, especially. And if it's a problem for you having alcohol in the house all week, don't do it. Try and nip it in the bud in terms of your environment before you're relying on your willpower. Willpower is a myth, I reckon. There's a lot of authors out there saying that now. So rather than relying on willpower, what you need to do is make it easier for yourself to make better decisions. So I think that's us done on environment design. What's next? So what I help you with in terms of environment design is actually a done for you shopping list with a complete list of foods and why they are nutritious, how they're going to help you. So when you're thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to eat if I can't eat muesli and sandwiches? There's probably about 8 pages of food here, why they're good for you, how they work. Yeah, heaps of options. Your options are not limited, but it just sort of helps you, I'd say, cut through the noise of today's food environment. So I know it's tricky. I know 70% of the supermarket is ultra processed these days. Like, you need some guidance. You need to like put your blinkers on. So it's quite difficult. So we've done mindset, we've done habits, and we've done environment design. The next phase of what I work with you on is movement. So I work with some people who are very active. I also work with some people who go to the gym but only do 1,500 steps a day. Very, very low. So what I work with you on is different movement opportunities. So why move? Why move in the first place? If we don't move, our muscles literally waste away. So a huge problem now is sarcopenia, whether you are bigger or whether you're skinny, but you might have a bit of a belly that you don't really like. That's likely because you haven't got much muscle on the rest of your body. Muscle is a calorie burning sink. Like, it is incredible. The more muscle you have, the more calories you will burn without moving. I know that sounds crazy, but it's called your basal metabolic rate. And generally, your muscle burns quite a lot more than your fat. So the more muscle you have, the better. The more muscle you have, the more you can eat without gaining body fat, is the idea. But of course, how do you get the muscle there in the first place? You need to move. Move it, use it or lose it. So what I recommend is moving for mental clarity. Before we get onto muscles, if you've got depression, if you've got anxiety, they've now proven that exercise is more powerful than some of the leading SSRIs and anti-anxiety and depression medications out there. They've done placebo-controlled trials. They know it's true. I always recommend getting out there first thing in the morning, whether that's with a podcast or some music to motivate you. So well done if you're listening to this and walking, or just getting out without any technology, raw dogging. People are talking about raw dogging flights, going without any technology or any movies or anything. So try raw dogging a walk in the morning just to get out and get some sunshine before you look at screens or get distracted by the rest of the day. It's a really good chance to set your intentions for the day and get ready, get your head in the game to kind of set out what you want to achieve that day and how you're going to get there before any stresses or strains of daily life enter your day. As I mentioned, exercise in the morning is amazing for burning your body fat. So when you wake up in the morning, you have fasted because you haven't eaten overnight. So ideally, I suggest people don't eat between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. It might be 7 and 7, however it works for you. But 12 hours of not eating is awesome. Then go out and do some exercise. the only fuel your body has, it's lightly burnt off your dinner by then, is your stored body fat. So it will start to tap into your fat stores if you've been eating the right food. So that's really exciting. That will also help you produce ketones, which, as I mentioned, give you some really amazing mental clarity. The other reason to get out in the morning is to get some vitamin D in your eyes really nice and early. You don't have to get outside, although it's best if you do. As I shared a lot on Instagram, I've been doing a lot of home workouts with Charlie just while he was really little. It meant I didn't have to worry about getting out of the house first thing in the morning, and I would be working out and the sun would come up over the hill right into my eyes, which is really good. It's just really good for our energy levels to do that sort of thing in the morning. And again, before we get distracted by other things. Lunchtime or afternoon, walk or bike or whatever suits your lifestyle. As I shared, I think everyone should be able to get out for at least a 10-minute, even 15-minute walk before or after lunch. That has a really profound effect on your blood glucose levels. So if you eat a meal and you go for a 10-minute walk afterwards, you can look up the glucose goddess on how that affects your blood glucose levels, which, as I mentioned, is what sort of spikes and then causes insulin to spike, and that's what causes fat storage. So just a short walk before or after lunch is particularly effective. Yeah, it's a great way to sort of add a little bit more movement into your day. All these exercise opportunities are outlined in the program. Strength workouts, back to muscle. These are so powerful, I cannot tell you. So what's more effective than just burning off calories and then putting them back in? Running, for example, is exercising in a way where you lift weights and you build muscle. And yes, you can build muscle and lose fat at the same time if you're eating the right foods. So I'm quite heavy at the moment, to tell you the truth. I'm probably 66 kilos. Quote, happy weight was always about 60. But what's happened over the last 7 or so years, and even more so since I've had Charlie, my muscle mass has gone up. So my lean mass on a body scanner was about 47 kilos. It's now about 54. So that's about 7 kilos of muscle that I've gained. Very interesting, isn't it? So I'm still sort of wearing my clothes, sizes vary, but sort of a size 8 to 10. But I'm 6 to 7 kilos heavier. Wild. Lifting weights will not make you big and bulky. Let me tell you, it might make you heavier, but it will also make you leaner. So now I probably eat a lot more than I used to, but my muscles are probably using it. I'm assuming, who knows? That's generally how it works. So the more strength workouts you can do, I'm talking free YouTube home workouts. Get to your local gym and talk to a PT who can help you. In Cromwell, where I live, there are some brilliant gyms. So there's Central Fitness, NRG, the Workshop. They all have really good PTs who can help you build a strength training regime. If you're interested, there are also, in one of my body reset upgrades, there are some home exercises that you can do just by yourself. So I highly recommend them. Functional cardio. This is one of my favorite hacks for life, is if you want to sort of get your lungs going and do a little bit of cardiovascular exercise for your heart, but also get some resistance training in at the same time, you're killing two birds with one stone. My favorite is walking up hills. Walking up hills is so powerful because it uses your biggest muscle group, your legs, so it burns a hell of a lot of calories. You're getting outdoors. You're making your leg muscles stronger, but you're also getting steps in at the same time. So you're working your heart and your whole body. It's also quite a good core workout, walking up lots of hills, and especially on uneven terrain, works your knees and ankles, so you're less likely to get injured. So back to the program, I don't specify anything because honestly, some of my clients are training for marathons, some just need to get off the couch. So I suggest movement opportunities throughout the day because honestly, everyone can, and even fit people. If you go for a run or if you go to the gym and then you sit on your ass all day and do not move, you could probably do with getting out for a lunchtime walk too. So it's helpful for everyone. There's also a whole section in here on managing your energy pathways, psychology around it all. It's really interesting. So if you're looking at your food going, shit, I hate this. I actually hate it. Yuck, gross, which is what most people do with food like rice cakes or like salad. Your body's not going to enjoy it and it's not going to process it as well as it will if you're trying to fuel your body the right way to benefit it. Energy and mood. Quote good old Henry Ford, if you think you can or if you think you can't, you're probably right. So if you're listening to this going, it's just not for me, I just know I won't be able to do it, I'll just fail. Yep, you're probably right. You can go away and not worry about this. But if you're thinking, oh shit, she's right, and I know I could probably do better, I know I can, I'm just not sure how to get there, drop me a message. So, sleep and technology, huge. Talk to any new mother about how valuable sleep is, but even prior to being a new mum, because I must admit, I hate mothers who are like, now I'm a mum. I was that one who was the only non mum in the friendship group for years and years and years. But sleep is massively powerful. So whether or not you've got a partner who's snoring or a new baby, I have both. I'm so lucky. Sleep deprivation is wild, and how it makes you behave, how it makes you feel, definitely makes you want to eat more calories the next day. You wake up, you're exhausted, you feel spent. It actually affects your hormones hugely. So it affects you in so many different ways. A few things that you can help outside of snoring and babies is turning your phone off a couple hours before you go to sleep. Flight mode it. Flight mode it by 7 p.m. This is something I include in the group message report for all my resets. And the women are like, wow, I had no idea. Like, so good. It's really, really important, especially as you hit perimenopause and menopause. Sleep gets harder. Do not make it worse for yourself by staring at your screen late into the evening. And lots of you say, oh, I'm lonely or I want to talk to my friends later on at night. That's the only time I have. No, get a good night's sleep, at least a few nights a week. Please flight mode your phone by 7 p.m. because it will actually help you hit your fat loss goals, I reckon. Another hack is setting an alarm to go to sleep. Rather than setting an alarm for wake up, set one to go to sleep. I've not used an alarm clock for years and I wake up between sort of 5 and 6:30 most days. So yeah, do it. Go to bed at 8 p.m. It's the new trend. And last but not least, I know we were just talking about exercise and I veered off into talking about sleep. Last but not least, obviously nutrition, which I've been talking about the whole time, but in the program, I break down the macronutrients for you of the best way I reckon you should eat. And I suppose you could call it a relatively high protein approach, but very flexible. So, as long as you eat enough protein for your body and your movement needs, which I generally count as twice your body weight in kilos or lean mass. So, for example, I am 66 kilos, did I say? So that's about 130 grams of protein per day to help maintain my lean mass and keep me full. And then you can pretty much alternate between fat and carbohydrates depending on what suits you best. So our program has a little bit of a mixture. It keeps you relatively in fat burning mode throughout the day. And then as you get later into the day, mid afternoon, adding back in some fruit if you'd like it. So yeah, and our new Summer Body Reset has some even more exciting methods that have just come out of the science on sort of eating for perimenopause, menopause, and sports performance, and actually front loading your day with a lot of protein, which I've been experimenting with and I love it. So rather than eating a little bit in the morning, having a snack, a little bit at lunchtime, having a snack in the afternoon, and then some dinner, and thinking, oh, great, now I'm full. Eating a stack of protein in the morning. So I'm literally talking steak for breakfast. Ladies, don't be afraid of it. Or something like yesterday, I had a 6 egg omelette. So things like that that just mean you're full for like 5 hours and you don't think about food, and it's really refreshing. It's great. So lots of ideas like that. In the program, I also give you an example day of meal breakdown. So meals, snacks, everything. I include pictures. You also get a full recipe book. Like I say, I'm not big on recipes. We do not need flash recipe books in order to be healthy. But what it does help you with is it's got a build a breakfast design sheet. So, how you stack up a protein, some healthy fat, some veggies if you want, into a breakfast. And you can mix and match different flavors depending on the day. It's also got lots of recipes that you can cook once and eat all week. Really beneficial if you're busy, if you work really hard, or you're a mother, just a busy person in general, or a retired person who wants to get out and do all the fun things rather than sitting at home making all the food. So yeah, and it's gone down really well. To give you an idea of how well the program's worked so far, as I sit here talking to you, over 250, 260 of you have now been through the program. Everyone loses on average 0.7 kilos per week, which is a really, really nice, sustainable way to lose weight. That will fluctuate. So often people lose 2 to 3 kgs in the first week or two, and then they sort of plateau for a little while, and then it keeps going. So really, really effective. I absolutely love working with everyone and hearing all your stories, because all these practical things that I've taken you through, these are the practicalities of it. But what I actually love that comes out the other side is the mum saying, I'm so stoked I found this way of eating, because now I can work with my 10-year-old daughter on all these delicious foods rather than telling her that she needs to restrict things. I never wanted to talk about diets, but I was constantly uncomfortable with my body. Eating in front of your children, getting them involved in the kitchen, that's what makes a massive difference. And one of my friends, Danny, who was on the last season of the podcast, even shared what her stepson Eddie loves at the moment. And it was something really simple, but like something he never would have asked for a couple of years ago. So thank you to everyone for listening. Thank you to everyone who came on last season of the podcast. Bring on season 2. And if you would like to join my summer body reset, we are kicking off on the 14th of February, which means I have to launch this before then now. And if you sign up before the 10th of February, you get 30% off. But drop me a message if you're unsure, if you're not sure if it's for you. Just let me know. I am here. I am a real person. And I genuinely want you to be able to talk to me. And I want to help you with your fat loss and better energy, whether that's in 2025 or further down the line. But keep listening. Go and read some of the free blog articles on my website. Go and explore the recipes. And if you've got a question, get in touch.